Today on Smackey's Garage, we're going to be comparing two different floor liners for my F-150. We're going to go ahead and look at head-to-head WeatherTECH versus these Husky ones that I have here. Alright, so as you can see, it is definitely on the colder side today, and we're going to be comparing floor liners. Now, I've been running these floor liners in my truck for quite some time now, and we're going to do a comparison of the two. So let's go ahead, let's bring some of these inside and compare them to my new ones. But you can see, they do a great job capturing all the junk. And they do a great job keeping the floors nice and clean. All right, now I have a 2018 F-150, so that's the vehicle set that we're specifically talking about. And I've been running these WeatherTECH floor liners in my truck for the past 5 years, and I will say they held up perfectly. Now, these WeatherTECH ones really are rugged. They're built very well. I wanted to grab the Husky set because I hear a lot of people talk about the Husky set and how much they like them. I'm doing this more as a comparison for myself and to share with you guys what I think. Both of these sets I've purchased myself, so no one's given them to me, so I'm going to give you a full unbiased review. But my plan is we'll talk about the differences between these in a few different aspects. We'll look at it from a manufacturing standpoint, kind of what materials they're using, how well is water draining off of them, which one's soft versus hard, and you can definitely see that there is quite a difference between them. So for both of these, I'll have them linked down below. The WeatherTECH ones, I don't know the specific name of them, but the link will be there. The Huskies, I believe they're the X Contour. They're the higher end ones that I bought that we're testing. And then we're gonna do a review after I've used both sets. So it's winter time here. My truck is definitely seeing a lot of use and my floor is definitely seeing a lot of beating. So we're gonna go ahead and test these out. So let's go ahead and look at the differences between these two to start. Now I bought the full set. So you can see here, I do have the passengers here on this side. The driver's set is over there, and then I got the rear set pieces over there. You can see both of them, you can see that's the WeatherTECH, the one that's been really used. This is the Husky, the new one. Now we're gonna do a comparison of front versus rear. Now, one of the first things you're gonna notice when we start comparing these is just, the Husky one is a nice light rubber material. The WeatherTECH one's more of like a plasticky material, and it definitely holds its shape a lot better than the Husky one. So you can see that this is pretty much formed to the footwell, and then that one over there is completely flat. And these came this way. Now, overall, they look pretty close to the same. I think what we're gonna see is over on the left side there's gonna be less coverage for the Husky because the WeatherTECH one is probably going up further, but we'll have to install them to fully see. Now, everything's the same. You see the two clips where they're gonna connect. There's two there, and there's two on that side. Interesting to note on the passenger side, there aren't clips on the Husky one, but there are on the WeatherTECH one. My truck only has it on the driver's side, so I'm not exactly sure which one those go to, but if that matters to you, that's something you want to check out. Now, for the patterns on them, it's something that we're going to test out, but the patterns are somewhat similar. You can see it's draining the water away and then towards here. What I do notice that there is a big difference between them is the top piece. So the Husky one is flat here, where the WeatherTECH one actually has a step and a lip. What this could do is if water starts getting in here, it's gonna drain to the lower part. If your feet are up here further, which is where the pedals are, the water could be draining a little bit further down and getting caught in this bottom piece versus the Husky, where it's just gonna be maybe sitting in this area. We'll have to put it in the truck and take a look, but here's an image of the WeatherTECH one in the truck to check that out. Now, the other thing I'm noticing just looking at these, the WeatherTECH ones, just without installing them yet, have better coverage. So it looks like the WeatherTECH ones actually will go up the pillar over here on the side, where the Husky ones just only go up a little bit. So if that's something that you want to protect or something where you want to put your foot, which I actually think I might do sometimes, that's something that you want to take into consideration. The WeatherTECH ones overall appear to have better coverage, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to install the Husky. Actually, we'll install the WeatherTECH one, then we'll put the Husky one on top of it, and then we'll see what the difference is. Now, for the rear, they look similar, same story. It looks like the Husky one might have a little bit worse coverage than the WeatherTECH one. That WeatherTECH one's done really well for me over the past few years, and it's really held up well. Just needs to be cleaned. I have noticed, and you'll probably notice, the patterns are a little bit different on them. So I actually don't know why the pattern would be going to the side like that versus the WeatherTECH one, which is front to back. Now, when I think about the water in the truck moving, I would expect the truck to move. It's going to take the water from here, pull it back some, and then it's going to get caught in this area, which is different than the WeatherTECH ones, which are just straight all the way. So I'm interested to see how this does compared to the WeatherTECH version. And then the other thing to note is over here, this is completely flat, where the WeatherTECH does have some material still. So if you have something under your seat, it could potentially slide around. And then the Husky one is definitely a lot thicker and weighs a lot more than the WeatherTECH one. So potentially beefier material, but it is a lot softer, so it could wear out faster. Let's go ahead, let's put in one of the front driver's sides and then see how much coverage there actually is and which one covers more. All right, now I think this is gonna highlight one of the key differences between them when they're installed. So I have the WeatherTECH one on the bottom, the Husky one is on the top, and what I'm noticing is there are definitely protection in different areas. So the Husky one doesn't cover as much of the door sill here like the WeatherTECH one. It doesn't go as high up here, but it does go further back here, which, I mean, stuff does get there, but your feet really don't go there. So it really comes down to, and I gotta push this in a little bit further, how much do you want to protect this area here while using this? Now, I guess one of the ways that I could do it is I'm going to use them for a little bit, and then we'll see if my foot scratches up this at all and what it does. But you can see there is definitely a difference in coverage between the two. All right, so the Husky ones are in. Yeah, you can definitely see the difference in coverage there. I'll run them for a few weeks, and then we'll talk about how well they settle in and how well they fit. But we go ahead and get the driver's side one in, then we'll do the rear. All right, quick check of the Husky ones before I go ahead and install them. You can definitely see that the WeatherTECH ones do cover more than the Husky ones do overall. I think this is showing if you want the most protection in the most areas, WeatherTECH's probably the way to go. I hope I'm not making a mistake switching over to these. The WeatherTECHs have definitely done a good job keeping everything clean. You can see it's a little bit dirty because I didn't really vacuum it before I took it out because it is about 7 degrees out right now and I didn't want to do that. So I'm going to go ahead, we'll put the Huskies down and see how much they cover. So the Husky ones look good back here. The only thing I'm noticing is as I do have my seat all the way up, you can see that there is some leaves and everything under there. So even with the WeatherTECH ones that go all the way up, the leaves are still getting up there. So that just means with the Husky ones, it's going to be worse. You can see this area is probably clean from the WeatherTECH, but everything up there is a mess. Let me go ahead and put my box back here. Now, yes, coverage-wise, you can see that those lines there are important. The ones that are behind it, not as much, but you know, it is what it is. We're gonna go ahead and see how these work. Overall, fits okay. It's gotta settle. You can see it's setting up a little bit over in that area, but I'm gonna run it for a little while, then we'll talk about it. All right, let's go see how these are holding up. As you can see, we've been getting storm after storm. Still in one piece. And that side, yeah, holding my oil containers and junk. Now, the question that I need to answer here is how well are they holding up? And so far, everything's been holding up really well. I mean, it's only been a month and a half where I've had them in the truck. Definitely been getting good use out of them because we've been hit by storm after storm here in Massachusetts. And that's kind of unexpected, but I'm definitely getting to use them and getting to learn how they work. One of the things that I'm noticing when I use them is they definitely don't provide as much coverage as the WeatherTECH ones that I had. The WeatherTECH ones covered a little bit more. The Husky ones are more slimmer and a smaller profile. Now, with that, I mean, it comes down to what do you really want out of them? You know, is that little bit of extra protection worth the change in price between them? Now, that area that I thought was going to pool up more water by the driver's side and on the passenger side because there isn't that lip, you know, I'm right, it does. It is a little bit more wet down there, closer to where you're going to keep your feet, and then less of it drains towards the back, like it did on the WeatherTECH ones. So I think for me, they're both good options. Either the Husky one or the WeatherTECH one, they're both going to hold up well. I think the Husky ones will probably stay nice and flat for a long period of time, but I didn't see any issues with my WeatherTECH ones curling that other people have. And I've had them in for 7 years and in the hot sun, so nothing there. I think it really comes down to, do you want to spend that extra money for that additional extra protection in those small areas. Now, for myself, my goal for my truck, I actually would spend the extra money to get more coverage and more protection. It's a little bit more in the back, and then it's a little bit more in the front where the hood release is. So with those areas, I mean, I'd go for more protection rather than not. Is it worth the money? That's really up to you, because there is a pretty significant price difference between the two, unless one of them is on sale. Now, for myself, I'm going to continue running these Husky ones for the next few months. I'll reconsider the WeatherTECH ones in the summer when I get a good chance to actually take them out and do a good clean on them when it's not just snow everywhere. So we'll see then, but for now, they seem to be working pretty well. Thanks for tuning in this week on Smacky's Garage. I'll see you next time.